Okay, I know you just saw me. My last video was about living in the Philippines, the first 6 months and what we had done, things we thought about. And here I am again. In that video, it mentions about being scammed. So this little added part is going to talk about what happened when we thought we were being scammed. So we after staying at Azure and starting to nest and wanting to live in a spot longer term, we had done research. We do a lot of research, and we decided Lipa City was going to be it. Okay, go south rather than north. We chose Lipa City because we're near Batangas, because then we could take a ferry further south. We could go north, and we could still travel by bus and by plane to go elsewhere. So it was a perfect location, especially when we do decide to do some more exploring rather than becoming settled. And because at Azure, we had started to nest. So we really needed to move not just 8 suitcases of stuff, but a van of stuff. And we found a long-term, we were in communication with a host through Airbnb for a long-term rental. Everything seemed perfect, okay? Until we stayed there the first night. And it just didn't work out. 2 things. One, we expect screens on windows now while we're in the Philippines. And 2, we will not deal with cockroaches anymore. We just are not dealing with them anymore. It just can't happen. So unfortunately, on our very first night, we stayed one night, that was Sunday night, at that Airbnb. So we had to scramble out of there. And we still had 2 or 3 days that part of that, we canceled it. He did refund us, part of our money, which was super nice because he didn't have to do that. Because we're the ones who left, but he still refunded us the money of the nights we didn't stay, which was super sweet. Not a guarantee that all hosts will do that. So I was very grateful that he did. We ended up staying at Dooley Transient House, and that was on Monday night. And just both of us reeling, like, do we just go back and start all over? What do we do? Or just keep plans and go to Subic Bay, and then that way you'll be by Angeles, and then that way I could go maybe find my birth mother. I didn't know what to do, but the decision was just to stay in Lipa City for the same amount of time, and maybe we'll find something. So I started getting into groups, rental groups around Lipa City, and I found a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-story home in a very nice subdivision. And I just messaged this guy. His name's Mr. S. I'm going to call him Mr. S. And he said, yeah, I can show you the house tomorrow, which was Tuesday. Excellent. We made arrangements where we were going to meet. We took a trike to Robinson's. He met us there. My husband got in the front. I got in the back. He showed us the pictures of his credentials. I, of course, got them and took a photo of them and then texted them to my friends to say, if anything happens to us, now you know. The guy looks like this. Okay, we don't know who he is, but he's in the car taking us to a house. Anyway, he was a really nice guy. It's not like it's just there were things that felt really shady about the whole thing because his license was even expired. So of course for me, when he's telling me this is what his job is and your license is expired, I'm questioning. A level of doubt is starting to sink in. Okay. Anyway, we get to the house and it's absolutely beautiful. We meet who he calls his uncle and aunt, which really happens to be super close friends, which he just happens to call his uncle and aunt. And it is the uncle's nephew that was actually renting the house. The nephew could not be there because he lived in Italy. Okay. which isn't unusual. People do that all over here in the Philippines. They buy property or they rent out homes and they just don't live in the Philippines, which is fine. This isn't unusual. No red flags on that. The expiration on his credentials, that was a red flag. That was number one for me. Everything else was super cool. Absolutely loved the house. Everything about it. It was almost like a dream come true for 25,000 pesos. Now at the time, we didn't know any better. Really nice neighborhood with a pool, very clean. Everything about it was perfect. Everything about it was perfect. Our red flag would have been the amount for that subdivision, but we didn't know that at the time. And that was Tuesday night, and so we were back on this high, like, okay, we found our place. He wasn't able to send us the contract until Thursday because he had already had other plans for himself, which was fine. And Thursday morning, like early Thursday morning, he sent them. Well, I'm an early morning person anyway, so at 6 in the morning, of course, who's reading the contract? Me. 50 million red flags automatically came up. And the formatting was crap. Misspellings, like all over it. Even information, like all I gave was our names. That's it. And that's even misspelled, which fine, that can be misspelled. But within the contract itself, having misspellings throughout the contract and the formatting of the contract, red flag, red flag, red flag. And I thought, okay, you know what? Did a lawyer do this? I can't imagine a lawyer drew this up. Maybe he just saw something that looked like a regular contract and he used it, and he's not good at formatting. Which, if this is your job, clean it up. Fix that, right? But anyway, red flags there. And all I did was message him, and I said, when my husband wakes up, he and I will go over the contract. And of course, he sent it to me through Google. So of course, what do? I attach, like if I had an issue with a sentence, boom, comment, boom, misspelling, boom, formatting, boom. So I'm going through with a fine-tooth comb first, for me, as my husband's sleeping, going through that entire contract of all the things that, okay, this wasn't discussed, boom, this was discussed about this, and this is what we said, and we want this in the contract. Was misspelled, please fix this. So I already had that ready. Then when my husband woke up, of course, then we talked about all of it, and then all the red flags that I had. Okay? So after my husband and I talked, then I emailed Mr. S and basically said, okay, you already have a copy of this. You sent me. What I did was I copy and pasted because I didn't want to touch the original document that he had. So I copied the document he gave me, and that's where I put all of the comments, okay? So then, and I also did not want him to read the statements that I made ahead of time before talking to my husband. So what I had was a copy of everything, and then I could do my comments and go through my thinking about the whole presentation, the whole contract, right? And then my husband chimed in, and he basically agreed with me. So then I shared the copy of his contract with our comments to him. And I emailed him, and I texted him, and I sent him a messenger on Facebook saying, look, we looked this over. Please go over the comments that we have. I made a copy of your contract so that you would be able to or the owner would be able to consider all of the things that we have written, okay? And over the 2 days, I had been in Facebook Messenger friends with Mr. S, his uncle, the nephew, and I think the nephew's wife, okay? So we were all in a messenger group. So everyone got that information. And I just had a bunch of questions that we had a bunch of questions that were not being answered. And eventually, Mr. S could tell that we weren't really like going for it anymore. I'm thinking we're slowly working on backing out. We're not backing out, but we have a lot of questions. So then, of course, we got into a text message. I think it was this was on Thursday, about 4 o'clock. It was right before sunset. I do remember that. It was around 4 o'clock, maybe between 3 and 4, something like that. And I was basically in a text message conversation with Mr. S, the nephew, and myself about the contract. And eventually, the nephew said, yeah, he agreed to everything. After an hour of discussion via text message, he agreed to everything, okay? And his last question that he texted me was, so when are you signing the contract? And I paused, because usually I'm like a fast texter, and I would paused, but Mr. S had responded Friday and then whatever time we were going to sign the contract. And since I saw that Mr. S had responded, I had just gone on, just kind of, okay, I need a mental break, so I'm back on Facebook, just kind of looking into the group and looking back at the house again. And then I notice that the same house that Mr. S said he was going to take off of the listing in that group on Tuesday was posted again. Like, at the same time the nephew asked the question and Mr. S responded, within 60 seconds in that Facebook group, the house that we just said, okay, we're cool with the contract, we'll sign it, we'll be there Friday, okay, was then posted back on that Facebook group to say it was up for rent again. That was the biggest red flag. And so I text so that the nephew and Mr. S could read, well, we were going to be there signing, but I see that the house is up for rent again. It's been reposted in the group. Oh, that's already timed. So Mr. S was like trying to explain his way out of that, saying, oh, I'm sorry, that's already like a timed thing. And it's like, I'm sorry. We will not be there. We will not be there tomorrow. We will not be signing. And I was like, done. I said something to my husband. He said, yep, we're done. And then, oh my gosh, Mr. S was texting me, calling me for like an hour straight. And my husband's like, why aren't you responding? And I said, why should I? He's a liar. Why am I giving him the time of day? I don't need to be nice about that. We were being lied to the entire time. Don't tell me you're taking that rental down. It goes down on Tuesday and then all of a sudden it shows back up on Thursday. The moment we say we're going to sign, like it was within 3 minutes altogether, all of that. No. He doesn't deserve a response. There's like a boundary crossed. Done. So then I ended up sending a message, Facebook message. I'd been in communication to 2 YouTubers who I know live around Lipa, and they've been so helpful, so helpful. And I said, well, I thought we were able to stop by, but it looks like we're still on a house hunt again. And I think we were almost scammed because there were so many red flags about that whole scenario. And I don't think we're going to be able to stop by at all. And she said, what are you looking for? So I listed my criteria, and she said, I have a neighbor who's renting a house, and it was empty last week, and it's gonna go. I mean, people, they just posted this yesterday, and people have been calling all day. You need to call them, you need to send them a message like right now. And I had been so stressed for dealing with the contract all day. I said, okay, I promise I will send them a message. I'll make the phone call, but I've got to go watch the sunset. So I went onto the roof. Again, I don't know if you watched a previous video where I talk about to respond calmly rather than react is the best thing. So I just went and enjoyed a rooftop sunset. And then I went back and I said, okay, what do I need to do? And I did make a phone call. Nobody answered. And I thought, okay, it's just not much for us. That's fine. We're leaving on Saturday, so it's no big deal. We woke up Friday morning to a phone call. And it was our present landlord calling us, you want to come see the house? Yeah. We leave tomorrow though, which was Saturday. And he said, when do you want to come? I mean, my husband hadn't even gotten up yet. He's not a morning person. So this was maybe around 7. And I said, is the afternoon okay? Sure. What time? 1? I think I said 1. And they met us, and so I'm really grateful, number one, for the YouTubers we've met that we're getting to know, which is super nice. Our landlord that we've gotten to know, who is him and his wife, super nice, and truly living here. It is a dream come true. It is. I don't know if my husband would say that, but for me, it's because can feel the true essence of living in the Philippines rather than having to pack in 2 months to go someplace else. We have over a year contract right now, and I am willing to sign a 3-year contract, honestly. But that's basically our story about being scammed and all of the red flags that we had. It was kind of hellish in the beginning, but again, I mentioned patience, having an open mind, and then definitely positive vibes. That helped us get through like a roller coaster of a week as we were trying to find a full-time rental. Anyway, thank you for hanging out, listening to that crazy little story about where we thought we were getting scammed. So I'll catch you later. Bye. Okay, I recognize this is the video that will never end, I swear. But I thought about one of the things that my husband had done that while I went upstairs, because I was like done, I was over it, we talked about we need to confirm all the suspicions that we had. We need to confirm that they were valid. So while I went upstairs to watch the sunset, to just kind of find some peace and serenity, my husband had contacted the property manager to find out how much it truly costs to rent a home in that area. And we definitely learned that the price that we were quoted was not the price that we would find in that subdivision, which is good. It is also helpful because of the budget that we had created when we were living in the States. We knew it was above the budget that we wanted, but we were going to try to make it work because it was a beautiful home. The lesson that we learned was don't go above your budget, because we fell into falling in love with a beautiful home without even considering what we really were able to pay, wanting to pay, should pay to stay within the budget that where we want to live. We moved from the United States to the Philippines for a reason. And when we were at the time looking at a home that was well above the budget that we wanted. I mean, we initially set ourselves up to, we fell prey very quickly because we fell in love with a home that we thought was perfect for a price that we would figure it out. The lesson we learned from that was don't do it to figure it out. You live within your means, which we've always have lived within our means. I think with knowing we were going to get more house for cheaper than what we would pay in the United States was just really enticing. And I think it was a big mistake. We fell prey to that. And it is something that I think calmer minds would have made a different decision. And I'm glad that once we were just like slapped in the face with all of these red flags, paying attention to the first two red flags should have been it, and done. But it was truly an experience that we will never forget. I'm grateful for, because eventually we did wise up, and we are now living within our budget and making sure that, and we found a home we absolutely love. And there were things that, yes, that we wanted to change slightly, but it was talking and having full communication with our landlord of things that we would like done to the home at our expense, and if he was okay with that. And when I watch other YouTubers and I listen to them also talk about the negotiations that they've had with their landlords, that's really all that it takes, is having an honest conversation of what are you willing to pay, and being honest with yourself of the living conditions of what you want. I absolutely love this home. I'm so grateful that our two YouTuber friends have given us a lot of positive guidance to assist us in finding a home that we do love and we feel comfortable in, and would be more than willing to sign an even longer lease. Anyway, that is it. I wanted to make sure what really helped confirm that we thought we were being scammed was because contacting the property manager basically did confirm that we were falling prey into a situation that would have cost us dearly. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it, and I will catch you later.